Welcome to today's meditation time. I hope that you are well. I hope that your day has had moments of ease and peace and quiet. And I hope that you have found a spot where you can just really settle in. So as you do that, just allow the eyes to gently close or just cast your gaze down, just whatever feels right. And just really allow yourself to settle comfortably so that you feel safe and secure in the spot that you have chosen for these moments of stillness. And then as you settle, without trying to change it, just notice your breath. Just notice what it feels like, what it's telling you about your day, about how you have arrived, about whatever you were doing just before this moment. Just let the breath just tell you, show you. And then just give yourself permission to adjust as you need to adjust. If the breath needs to lengthen to make you feel a little more grounded, then let it lengthen. Breathe in slowly. If the breath feels a little sluggish, maybe you breathe in with a little more strength, a little more vibrancy. But just give yourself permission to adjust. Adjust the body, the knees, the shoulders, the breath, whatever you need. And remember, this is your time. It is so important that we really honor whatever we need physically and energetically in these moments that we sit. Because we know that the mind has an agenda of its own often. And we're on this journey of looking at the Yoga Sutras for guidance, for direction on what they teach us about yoga and meditation and breath and living. And we're kind of stuck in this spot of the mind. So before we get to all the other practices, all the other things that we can learn from the sutras, we need to sit with the mind. We need to think about, notice, learn what it is that the mind is showing us, just like that breath was just seconds ago. The last time we were together, we talked about how our thoughts can really be categorized into two buckets. The thoughts that are painful and the thoughts that are painless. And this idea of the thoughts that cause the disruptions in our minds, sometimes we do them to ourselves, sometimes they just come before we even realize it. But then the painless ones are the thoughts that have no selfish motivation, they have no ego, they only bring peace and ease and calm. And I know as I say that, we think to ourselves, but there's a whole lot of other thoughts kind of in the middle, these thoughts that might seem a little neutral. And the idea is, as these thoughts come in, they're all neutral. It's how we attach to them that begins to categorize them. How our ego responds, how our senses respond, or how they don't, and how peace is just maintained. So you don't have to sit and just reflect on and meditate on the concept of peace to have painless thoughts. You can learn just to not attach to the thoughts that are coming in. And I know that sounds much easier said than done. And so today we're going to practice that just a little bit. There's a very famous woman from Japan. Her name is Marie Kondo. And she is a master at organization. And she has all these tips and all these ideas that if you have a messy home or a cluttered office or a closet that needs attention, she has ideas and systems and processes to help you get things in order. But she doesn't do it from a dogmatic or a regimented kind of way. She does it from this perspective of, as you walk into spaces that need to be organized, you sort things into these categories of the ones that spark joy in your life and the ones that don't. You keep the things that you do, and you let go of the rest. And so as you go into your closet, just think about this Marie Kondo way of approaching it. You look at these clothes that you haven't touched in a very long time. Maybe they fit, maybe they don't. But your hand just kind of goes through them and you think about the ones that truly bring you joy, that comfortable pair of jeans or that sweater or whatever it is. And then you think about the ones that just don't. And she would tell you those are the things that need to go. You keep the things that you truly feel joy about and you let go of the rest. You go to that drawer that's in disrepair and it's chaotic and you do the same thing. You start to sort things out. What things bring joy and what things don't. And it's not like every tool and every instrument that you're sorting has to actually spark this sense of happiness and overwhelming joy in your life. But the idea is, does it maintain your peace? Or does it cause clutter and confusion and attachment? And so I think we can take Marie Kondo's idea and really begin to apply it to our lives, to our minds, as we try to understand this Yoga Sutra 1.5. If we were to sit and just survey our mind and watch the thoughts come in, would you know the ones that bring you joy and peace and ease? And would you know the ones that cause you confusion and doubt and pain? And I think that question's pretty obvious. We know we could tell the difference. So then here comes the hard question. Why are we hanging on to the thoughts that cause confusion and doubt and pain? Why do we keep replaying the same thoughts again and again? Why do we keep that same narrative of resentment or that same narrative of anger or frustration or feeling sorry for ourselves or whatever it is? Why do we keep replaying it? Why do we keep going to that thought if we know it causes confusion, doubt, or pain? It seems much easier to open up the closet and then begin to just sort through the things. But what if we could make it just as easy to sort through these thoughts in our head? The day gets busy and it gets noisy. And then you remember, I'm supposed to be watching my thoughts, and so you just pause, you close your eyes, you take a few breaths, and then you just sit. And you notice. When you give yourself space to notice your thoughts, what do they look like? Is there this nagging sensation of discontent in these thoughts? Or is there gentleness and peace and calm? Is there this replay of the situation that caused you to become angry at someone? Or is there peace and ease and calm? Are there thoughts that blame people and think if they could just do this or just change that, life would be so much easier and better? Or are they thoughts of peace and ease and calm? And I give you those examples because I think we all have thoughts like that. We all replay these narratives. We all have these elements of baggage that keep coming back to the future, coming back to the present. And they need to stay in the past. But it's all about this idea of what are we attaching to and what are we letting go of. Just like the stuff in the closet and the stuff in the messy drawer in the kitchen. What needs to stay because it serves this beautiful purpose of bringing order, of bringing organization, of bringing clarity to your life, or it needs to go because it does not. In the yogic path, we talk a lot about detachment and attachment. And we all have our things, our mindsets, our stuff that we seem to attach to more than others. And so what I'd like us to do is just pause and notice. Notice as the thoughts come in, can you just let them come in and you see them and they stay neutral as they go out? Or do you find yourself attaching to some of them, following them down the road, letting them carry you away before you even realize it? So let's just pause and just be observers, breathing in and breathing out. But notice what happens in your mind as you do. And that was just for a few seconds. Maybe you actually sat in peace and stillness, and there were no distractions. Maybe the thoughts came and you watched them just pass along. Or maybe you learned something about yourself in just those few seconds. And so we're going to sit again for the remainder of our time. But before we do, I want to just give you just one more way of thinking about it. I talk to educators often. I talk to them a lot about the environment that they set for kids in their classrooms. Because for some reason, all of a sudden, we have a lot of kids with a lot of labels about their ability to pay attention. There's more kids, it feels like these days, that are being called deficit in their attention than ones that are not. And so the first thing that I tell teachers is that look in your classroom. Look in that classroom where these kids sit every day and look at the level of organization. Does everything have a place? Are there clear traffic patterns where people can move? When something gets taken out, does it get put back away? Does everything feel tidy and put together? Because our kiddos who have this lack of attention, they need to be in environments that feel organized and safe, so that eventually they bring that same organized, safe structure and environment into their heads, into their minds. And all of a sudden, their attention and their energy is going where they choose it to go. And there's no longer a deficit. I fear the same is true for us as adults. We don't just get labeled like kids do. Our attention and our energy goes wherever those thoughts take it. But what if, just as we tidy our homes, how we organize our desk, how we put things back after they've been used, what if we could do the same thing in our heads? And we wouldn't feel like these adults who have this inability to focus, this inability to feel peace. We'd have this beautiful, organized environment in our minds. And so let's just pause for these last just couple minutes that we've got and just notice. Notice where you see the clutter. Notice where there's opportunities for organization, for letting go. Notice how your energy feels as your attention stays still. And also notice how the energy feels if the attention goes. Continuing to breathe just a few more times here together. Just letting this idea of this Marie Kondo way of approaching the Yoga Sutras, of approaching our thoughts. Just letting that kind of sink in just a bit more. And see if as we go through our days, we can approach this practice with joy. We don't go into the closet with anger and begin to just throw things away. But we go in and we seek the things that bring us joy, and those are the things that stay. We don't look at things from a deficit perspective. We look at what fills our cup up, and we focus there. And the same can be said for our thoughts. We find joy when we feel peace. Let's make that our starting point. I encourage us to spend time in the next few days just pausing and noticing, even if it's for 60 seconds. Start to notice the thoughts. See what they can teach you. And begin to hang on to the parts that bring you joy. Namaste.